on our backs. Oh, pause. Let's not start on our backs. Let's start by doing a little prop setup. So grab your strap if you've got it, and you're gonna unroll it all the way. And if you've got the metal D-ring, you're gonna take the tail end of your strap and go through both loops. Go over the first and under the second. And you're gonna make a loop that's big enough for your legs to go in. Once we put our legs in, it'll be as small as our pelvis or as wide as our pelvis, but you don't need to worry about that just now. Just make sure you got a loop. And then put that somewhere nearby, and you're gonna go ahead and lie down on your backs. And once you find yourself on your back, you can either extend your legs long or have your knees bent, but just go and allow the hands to rest on the floor beside you and see just where you notice points of contact touching the floor. For me, I noticed that when I laid down the past 2 days, just starting off in Shavasana, I noticed that parts of the body were creeping up and away from the floor that normally do not creep up and away from the floor. So it was interesting to just simply observe where I was at the beginning of my practice versus where I ended up near the end of my practice. So you're just going to observe for you where the body happens to feel relaxed into the floor and where it just maybe floats up and away. And then we're going to start to just consciously focus on the breath. So you'll inhale and breathe into the collarbones, into the upper ribs, into the chest. And you'll exhale and draw the belly button into the spine. And you'll just do about 3 more breaths like that. So inhaling into the collarbones, wide into the ribs, into the back body. And then exhaling, drawing the belly to the spine to the floor, and you'll feel the pelvic floor tone just a bit. And you just have 2 more breaths like that, seeing how long and how spacious you can make your inhalation and how deep and how complete you can make your exhalation. And you'll just take 1 more breath just like that, breathing into collarbones, upper ribs, maybe pressing upper back into floor just a bit. And then exhaling, emptying the belly, drawing the belly to the spine to the floor, and the pubic bone slightly up towards the navel. Great. Now from here, if your knees are bent, please go ahead and extend your legs long. If your legs are long, start to walk them towards each other so they're parallel to each other and in line with your hip sockets. If the arms are pretty wide, walk them in so they're alongside your pelvis. And we're just going to find some breath to movement. So you'll inhale, lift your left arm up and overhead, flex your right foot. And exhale, lower the left hand and point the right foot. And we'll try that on the other side. So inhale, lift your right hand, flex through the left foot. And then exhale, lower the hand back alongside the hip, point the left foot. And then you'll do both arms and both feet. Inhale, both arms up and overhead, touching the floor behind you. And exhale, pointing through the feet, drawing the hands alongside your hips. And you'll repeat that sequence 1 more time. So inhale, left arm, flex right foot, big breath into the chest. And exhale, flex through, or rather lower the arm and point through the foot. And then other side, inhale, lift your right arm, flex through your left foot. And exhale, lower the right arm, point through the left foot. And then both arms, both feet. Inhale, point, or rather flex through the feet, reach up through the arms. And exhale, point through the feet, lower the arms. And you'll do that 1 more time completely. So inhaling, flexing through the right foot, reaching through the left arm, pause at the top and hold the breath for 1 to 2 counts. And then exhale, lower that left arm, point through the right foot. And then other side, inhale, lift the right arm, flex through the left foot. At the top of your in-breath, hold the breath 1 to 2 counts. And then exhale, you'll gently lower the right arm, point through the left foot. And then both feet, both arms, inhale, lift the arms up and overhead, flex through the feet as you Hold the breath at the top of the inhalation, press the upper body back into the floor, send out through the heels. And then when you need to, you'll exhale, point through the feet, lower the hands back down. We'll just do that last part 2 more times. So inhale, both arms up and overhead, flex through both feet. Top of the inhalation, hold the breath 1 to 2 beats. And then exhale, flex through, or rather point through the toes, lower the hands down. And this last time, inhale, extend the arms up and overhead, flex through the feet, hold the breath 1 to 2 beats. As you exhale, just simply bend your elbows, interlace your hands, and then send the heels of the hands up and away from you. Continue to flex through the feet. And you've got 3 breath cycles here. So again, you still inhale into the collarbones, into the ribs. As you exhale, belly button to spine, spine to floor, pubic bone draws up, tailbone lengthens down. And 2 more like that. Inhale, heels of the hands away from your head, breathing into the chest, breathing into the upper ribs. Exhale, emptying the belly, drawing the pubic bone up, flexing through your feet. And your last one. Inhale, breathing into the upper chest. And then exhale, emptying the belly. Gently release your hands and release your hands alongside your hips. Pause for a moment and just notice if anything feels different. Does more of your back body feel like it's on the floor than just a second ago? Gently bend your knees, plant your feet firmly on the floor. And this is where you can put that strap over the thighs, or if you'd like, you can just put a block between your inner upper thighs, but we're going to take some dynamic bridges. So you'll put that strap onto the belly of your thighs and tighten it as much as you need to so your thigh bones stay in alignment with your hip sockets. And then once you've got all that done, you'll lower your heels back to the floor in line with your pelvis and lower your arms alongside your hips. And we're just going to stay with that same alternating action that we did before. So you'll inhale, push through your feet, lift your left arm up and overhead. Lift your hips high. There you go. As you exhale, lower your hips, look to the right, and lower the left hand down. All that happens at once. Oh, buddy, I know. And then inhale, push through both feet, lift the right arm, head comes back to center. And then exhale, start to look to the left, lower the right hand, lower both hips. Awesome sauce. And then you'll do both hands, both hips. Inhale, push through both feet, lift the hips, lift the hands. And then exhale, slowly bring everything back down to the starting point, hands alongside hips. So we'll do that 2 more times. So inhale, push through the feet, lift the hips, lift the left arm high. Exhale, look to the right, lower the left hand, lower both hips. Nice job. And then when you're ready, you'll inhale, push through both feet, lift your right arm up and overhead, head comes back to center. And then exhale, look to the left, lower both hips and lower that right arm. Awesome sauce. Then inhale, push through both feet, lift both hips, draw the head back to center, lift both arms high. And then exhale, lower the hands and lower the hips. And we're going to repeat that sequence 1 more time. So you'll inhale, push through both feet, lift your left arm. Exhale, look to the right, lower the hips, lower the left arm. Inhale, push through the hips, lift the right arm, head comes back to center. And then exhale, look to the left, lower the hips back down. Awesome sauce. Inhale, push through both feet, lift both arms, head comes back to center. And then exhale, lower the hands and lower the hips. Keep the hands alongside the hips. Inhale, push high through the feet to lift the hips high. And then as you're ready, you'll start to walk the shoulder blades underneath you. And you can either interlace your hands or just push down into the floor. It's totally up to you. But I'd like you to press out into the strap and at the same time press down into your big toe mounds. See if you can lengthen tailbone, pubic bone forward. And then just notice if you can breathe into the upper collarbones, into the upper ribs, and maybe hold the breath for 1 to 2 beats at the top of your inhalation. And you've got 1 more breath cycle here. Press the upper forearms down, the wrists down, the feet down as you lift the hips high. Nice job. On your next exhalation, if the hands are clasped, untuck the hands, untuck the shoulders, and slowly bring the pelvis back down to the floor and pause. Notice what you notice in terms of points of contact on the floor. Awesome sauce. All right, go ahead and exhale and draw your knees in towards your chest. Keep that strap on your legs and then start to flex through your feet and kick your legs up towards the sky. Awesome sauce. From here, lower your hands alongside your hips if they're not there. Awesome sauce. Push up through your big toe mounds and you're pushing out into the strap as you're pushing up through your feet. There we go. Now we're going to stay with this cross pattern lateralization that we've been doing so far. So inhale, lift both arms up and over your head. As you exhale, touch your left knee and bend your right knee. Inhale, extend both arms up and overhead. And then exhale, touch your right knee, bend your left knee. Inhale, extend both arms up and overhead. And exhale, bend both knees, touch both knees. We're going to do that again. Inhale, straighten both legs, straighten both arms. Exhale, bend your right knee, touch your left knee. Inhale, straighten both arms, straighten both legs. Exhale, bend your left knee, touch your right knee. Awesome sauce. Inhale, straighten both arms, straighten both legs. Exhale, bend both knees and touch both knees. Awesome sauce. And you'll do that one more time. So inhale, straighten both legs, reach both arms up and overhead. Exhale, bend the right knee, but touch the left shin. Inhale, straighten both arms up and overhead. Exhale, bend your right knee, but touch your right shin. Oh my gosh. Inhale, reach both arms up and overhead. And exhale, bend both knees and touch both knees. Awesome sauce. Last time, inhale, reach both legs high. And exhale, hug both knees into your chest. Gently remove your strap. And then just simply plant your feet firmly on the floor. So we're working with a little bit of cross pattern lateralization. The ask of the day was to work on some type of hand balance. And it turns out that having our brain coordinated might help with that quite a bit. So we're just doing some things that help us tap into the right and left hemisphere of the body. Awesome sauce. All right, go ahead and start to roll over to one side. And then from here, you'll make your way up to sit. And at this point, some of you can choose to take toe squat. Some of you will choose to sit in Vadrasana. You'll just put a block underneath your bum. And some of you will sit for Sukhasana. So you're going to choose whichever seat works best for you at this point in time. And those of you in toe squat, make sure your pinky toes are tucked under. And then we're going to all interlace their fingers, send the heels of our hands away from you, and then send the heels of the hands up to the sky. And we're going to stay here and do Kapalabhati breathing. So that's the rapid pulsations of your abdomen. And all you're really focusing on is the exhale. So take a big breath in and take a big breath out. Go ahead and inhale halfway. And then you'll exhale 27 times, just drawing your belly button into your spine. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Gently release your hands. Go ahead and just take 3 steady Ujjayi breaths here. And you're just seeing how slow and calm you can make that breath. And last breath cycle. And then we're going to take it one more time. So take awkward opposite interlace of your fingers. Send the heels of your hands forward. Send your arms high. Take a big breath in. Exhale all your breath out. And then inhale halfway before you start your Kapalabhati. Second time, 27 pulses. Nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release your hands. 3 steady ujjayi breaths here. Big breath in, big breath out. 2 more times, big breath in and big breath out. Last one, our feet are definitely talking to us. Big breath in and big breath out. Go ahead and come forward, tops of the feet to the floor. Extend the tops of the feet to the floor and pitter patter your toes if you'd like to. Conversely, you can start to shift your weight back and take a counter stretch, lifting one or both knees if knees, ankles, and shins permit. Awesome sauce. And then once you're complete with that, let's go ahead and come forward to hands and knees. So we're going to still work with cross pattern lateralization, meaning I'm going to tell you to do one thing with one arm and the opposite thing with the opposite leg. Okay, so let's just start here, hands and knees. And the first thing that you're going to do is just inhale here. And then exhale, press back to that modified child's pose, tops of the shins on the floor, feet about parallel distance or hip distance apart. Great. And then inhale, come forward, hands and knees. And then exhale, press back to that modified child's pose. So shins parallel, elbows bend, forehead touches the floor. So that's the general pattern. Inhale, come forward, lift your right leg up. Exhale, lower the right knee down, press back to that modified child's pose. Slow down the breath to make this happen. There we go. Inhale, come forward, hands and knees, and lift the left leg up. And exhale, lower the left knee and press back to that modified child's pose. You'll continue that on your own, or you'll inhale and come forward, hands and knees. Lift the right leg up, maybe the left arm high. And then exhale, lower the limbs and press back to that modified child's pose. And then you'll inhale and come forward, hands and knees. Lift the right arm, lift the left leg. And then exhale, lower the limbs and press back to that modified child's pose. So you've got 4 more sets of these on your own. And I encourage you to notice how you have to lengthen the breath to get all that movement to happen. And then how some movement has to slow down and other movement has to speed up in order to get all that to happen in one breath. Yep. And as you continue to just work with the breath to coordinate that exhalation, to lower the limbs and press all the way back to that modified child's pose. And then the inhale to come all the way into that bird dog shape. Just simply notice how you can make the breath a little bit smoother, a little bit longer. Nice job, guys. You've got about 1 more set on your own. And then this next time, as you come back to your first side, you're going to stay there and hold for 5 steady breath counts. So you'll have one leg forward and one opposite arm back. You'll push down into the supporting arm, push down into the supporting shin. And you're just going to breathe and see if you can make that breath as long and as steady as it just was while you were moving. Keep lifting through the inner thigh of the back leg, reaching out through the thumb of the front hand, and the pinky finger reaches forward. Nice job. Next, exhale, lower the limbs and press back to that modified child's pose. Yep, and then you'll inhale and come directly into the other side. Lifting up through the inner thigh of the back leg, reaching forward through your pinky finger, lifting up through your thumb, and pushing down through the limbs. So the bottom hand, the bottom shin. Take a big breath in. One more big breath out. Last big breath in. And then exhale, lower the limbs and press back to that modified child's pose. Awesome sauce. Go ahead and stay here for a moment. Come to the tips of your fingertips And start to walk your hands forward. Lift up through your happy inner armpits. Wrap your triceps to the floor and see if you can press your pelvis a little bit closer to your heels as you breathe in a little bit more into your low back. Nice work. Next in-breath, come forward to hands and knees. As you exhale, tuck your toes under, keep your knees bent, and press your pelvis high towards downward facing dog. And once you find yourself in this down dog, keep pushing down through the L shape of your hands. And our key action for this shape is to lift up through your armpits and wrap your triceps to the floor, and then send your hippies a little higher. Awesome sauce. And you might then choose to straighten one leg and then bend the other, and then straighten that leg and then bend the other. But if you do, let's continue to keep the armpits happy and lifted and the hips as high as they can be. Even as you pulse through the calves and lower the heels down, and just take a moment to pause and to breathe. Okay. Let's go ahead and come to a still neutral spot. We're going to stay with that breath. So inhale, chin to chest, roll your spine forward into plank. And exhale, bend your knees, lift your hips, downward facing dog. And you've got 4 sets of these. And I really want you to just pay attention to the breath. So you inhale and draw yourself forward into plank. You exhale and send your hips high to down dog, knees bent. Inhale, coming into plank, rolling through the spine. And exhaling, bending the knees, lifting the hips. You got about 2 more sets on your own. And as you come forward, keep lifting through your happy inner armpits. Yep, there you go. So that they stay lifted, the shoulder girdle stays engaged. And this last time that you come forward into Phalangasana plank, we're going to stay there. Keep lifting up through the happy inner armpits, lift your inner thighs, and then lengthen your tailbone back. See if you could push the floor away a little bit more so it feels like your upper back rounds just a tad. And then you'll start to push down and pull wide, and then pull your hands back to your toes, toes forward towards your hands until you feel a little bit of core engagement. Awesome sauce. Gently lower your knees and come up to sit. Grab your strap once again. And now you're going to probably need to widen it. I mean, it really depends on your proportions of your body, but you're going to want to widen it so it's at least shoulder distance apart. And you can sit however the heck you'd like to for this. You can sit in Vajrasana, you can sit in Hero's Pose, you can sit Sukhasana. But you're going to put the strap on your arms. And I want it, if this is your elbow, it's below your elbow. So my shoulder people, I want you to be very mindful with this. So we're going to put the strap on our forearms and it's below our elbows. And the first thing that you're going to do is just notice that you can push out into that strap, just like we did in bridge pose. And then notice what that does to your back body. Where do you experience that most into your back? Keep the fingers together as best as you can and just push out into the strap, push out into the strap, reach forward through your fingers, push out into the strap, reach forward through your fingers. And then you're going to start to incrementally lift your hands up. So palms are facing into each other and you're still just pushing out into the strap, reaching forward through your fingers, lifting up through your crown. And then you'll take it a little higher and notice if you stopped breathing, push out into the strap, breathe, and notice what you notice in the back, and then a little incrementally higher, push out into the strap, breathe, reach out through your fingers, notice what's happening in your back, push out through the strap, lift it a little higher, breathe, lengthen down through the tail, up through the crown. And this last set, you'll go as high as you can now. Some of you might have your arms in line with your ears. Some of you might have your arms a little bit behind your ears, but you're still pushing out into the strap, lengthening down through the tailbone and seeing how soft the breath can be. And then you'll slowly release. Take the strap off and just notice what you notice in the shoulders. Notice what you notice in the neck. Cool. All right. Now we're going to do that, but behind us. So you'll bring the strap behind you. So this might be something depending upon how much mobility you have, or rather how long your arms are in relationship to your torso. You might need to elevate your pelvis on something or not. I have pretty long arms, so I can touch the floor quite easily, and that's totally fine if you can't do that. And then when your fingers are touching the floor behind you, make sure your palms are facing down towards the floor. The strap is still below your elbows. Okay, now first thing you'll do is just crawl your hands away from you just enough so it feels like you can sit really tall and regally. Draw your front ribs in and back. And we're making sure that our hips stay over our shoulders the whole time. Now you're going to start to push out into your strap and then start to turn your pinky fingers to the floor and away from you to find external rotation. So you'll notice that the shoulder blades will now start to come onto your back. And if that's happy for you, you're going to stay there. Otherwise, you'll start to push out into the strap so that the strap starts to, or rather the fingers start to lift up, and you're still pushing out into the strap. You're still turning your palms away from your body, pinkies down to the floor and then out. And then you'll lift your arms as high as they want to go, but you're keeping those front ribs drawing back. You're drawing the shoulder blades onto the back simply by pushing out into the strap. And you're noticing what you notice. Awesome sauce. And then you'll gently start to lower the hands down, release the strap, and just simply notice what you notice happening in your shoulders now. Okay, now we're going to put the strap back on the front of our arms. And you want to make sure it's about shoulder distance apart for you. This time, though, the strap is going to go above your elbows. And once, make sure your loop is not too far out to the side, otherwise it undoes itself. Make sure that it's above your elbows this time. And then you're going to shift your weight forward onto your hands and your knees. And we want to make sure the strap is at least shoulder distance apart, otherwise this will not feel so good. And then from tabletop, you'll step your right foot back and you'll step your left foot back, and suddenly we're in plank. Okay, now that we're in plank pose here, again, push out into the strap and notice if you're pushing more through your right or more through your left, and see if you can find both. Push down through both hands until it feels like your upper back rounds like you're in an angry cat pose. Now pull your hands back towards your toes isometrically, lengthen your tailbone back, and see if you can draw your pubic bone to your belly button. Now, if that's good for you, you're going to stay right here and just work those actions. Otherwise, you'll shift your weight forward, start to bend your elbows and reach your chest up and over the strap to hold for a moment in chaturanga. Shoulder blades squeeze onto back, elbows push out into strap, or forearms push out into strap. And then when you're ready, you'll straighten your arms, come back to plank, lower your knees, take your strap off. How did that go? Okay, got some thumbs up. Okay, now let's make our way to downward facing dog. Down dog. Oh, pause. Make sure your strap is somewhere near the top of your space, as well as your blocks near the top of your space. Okay, and then just notice what down dog feels like here. Imagine that you still have that strap on. So you're pushing down through the L shape of your hands, and then you're pushing out into your arms, but lifting up into your armpits and wrapping the triceps to the floor. Do all that while you keep lifting your hips high, your inner thighs back. Nice job, guys. Okay. Inhale, gaze to the top of your space. Oh my God, he's walking. As you exhale, bend your knees, empty your belly, and step or float top of space. Nice. Once you get there, separate your feet about hip distance apart, enough space to slide a block in between your shin bones on the second setting. And then you're going to put your strap on your arms below your elbows. Okay, now from this forward fold, let's go ahead and inhale and come up halfway. So fingers press into shins, shins press into fingers. Lightly bend your knees so you can send your tailbone back and spread wide through your bum. Now squeeze your block and press down evenly through both of your feet. On your next in-breath, you're going to bend your knees to about 90 degrees and reach your arms forward like little zombies, pushing out into your strap. Okay. Now keep pushing out into the strap. Continue to bend your knees and squeeze your block. Now you can do this as much as you want to, lifting the arms up incrementally towards what you normally consider as chair pose, but you're still pushing out into that strap. You're noticing where you can soften any tension around your neck, and you're seeing if you can draw those front ribs in and back. And if the strap is or below the elbows, so I guess in this orientation with your arms above your head, it's above your elbows, you'll notice that you can possibly get the strap alongside your ears. You'll take one more breath here. Yeah. On your next inhalation, push down through the feet, squeeze the block, straighten the legs, and stand up tall. Keep pushing out into the strap, lengthen down through your tail, draw the pubic bone up, the belly button in, reach out through your fingers. Awesome sauce. Very gently, you're going to go ahead and lower the arms, release the strap, release the block, and just notice your shoulders. Okay. Once you've let go of the block, go ahead and turn to face the side of your mat. Step your feet about 3 feet wide. Turn your toes out, your heels in. And then just bend your knees to about a 90-degree angle to sit for goddess squat. So Anna Forrest considers this one of the best things to do for inversions and core work. So best as you can, hands come to heart center. You can take eagle arms while you're here. You can do none of the above, but we're just focusing on the core and the legs here. So I want you to continue to bend out through the inner thigh. So inner knees are tracking out towards the big toe, second toe. You squeeze your tuchus a lot, and notice that you can then start to empty the belly as you bend the knees. Maybe lift the elbows a little higher for those of you that have the eagle arms. Yep. Awesome sauce. Release and switch arms if you're taking Garudasana arms. And you've got about another 5 breath cycles here. Continue to sit low. Continue to notice if you can push down into the big toes and hug the outer hips in. And just pause and breathe and pause and breathe and pause and breathe. Awesome sauce. Next inhalation, you'll go ahead and straighten both legs. Turn your toes in and step or walk your feet together. Great. All right. Go ahead and stand to the top of your space. Bring both of your blocks and I encourage you to put them there on the highest setting. And just before we do any more asymmetrical poses, go ahead and spread wide through both of your feet. Spread your feet into the floor and then push down through both feet, drawing the energy from the pelvis through the legs, through the feet to the floor. Then transfer your weight to your right leg, float your left leg up, and you can hold on to the shin or just draw your hands to heart center. And we'll take a moment to pause here. And then you'll start to flex through that left foot and then externally rotate that left leg with hands or with not, and then see where you can plant that left foot on your right thigh. Maybe it goes to the right calf, and maybe it touches on the floor. Great, and you're just gonna pause here, pressing foot into thigh or shin or floor, and then using the shin or the thigh to push back into the foot. Great. All right, gently release the left leg, put it on the floor, shift all of the weight over to the left leg, float your right leg up, hands can come to the front of the shin or just float at heart center. Flex through your left toes a lot, your right toes a lot, and then open the right leg out to the right. And then see where you can plant that right leg. You might need to adjust it with your hand if at first it doesn't go where it needs to or where you want it to. And wobbling is okay. Awesome sauce, and you're just pushing into the connection between the legs, finding your midline. Great. Gently release the right leg. Or lower the foot to the floor. Okay. Step your feet about, 3 feet apart. Turn your left toes in, your right toes out, and we're going to take a warrior 1 to the top of your space. Now you'll notice that you might need to adjust a little bit there if that feels not wide enough. And then bring your right hand to your low back, your left hand alongside your left hip. Straighten your front leg long, and then you'll inhale, just shift your heart forward a little bit. So there's a line from your head, through your shoulders, through your hip, through your back leg. And then you'll inhale, keep that line, bend your front knee, reach your left arm forward. We're trying to find a stretch across the front of our psoas. And then exhale, you'll straighten the front leg and lower the left arm. And we've got 3 more of those. So you'll inhale, bend the front knee, slight angle in the torso to find a nice stretch in the psoas. And exhale, lower and straighten the arm, straighten the leg. 2 more on your own. And you're just noticing how slow you can move. You might find that the more you can press your left pinky toe side of the foot into the floor, then you might find more of a stretch across the front inner part of your left hip. Awesome sauce. And this will be your last one. And you'll just pause here and we'll breathe. Push down into your back foot. Reach out through your top arm and see if you can keep squaring your shoulders and hips towards the top of your space. You might stay there, or you might reach both arms alongside your ears. You might interlace the hands and see if you can reach the hands up so you can lift the ribs up and find separation between the waist and the low back. Awesome sauce. Very gently, if the hands are clasped, release them, straighten the front leg long. Draw your right hand to your right hip. Inhale, lift up through your left arm, and then exhale, start to reach forward and out over your space. Might put your hand on one of your blocks. Great. So with your left hand on a block, just see if you can push down through the left hand and lift your spine parallel to the floor. And then you'll exhale and draw the navel in and push down into the back foot. Reach out through the crown of your head, and you might stay here just breathing and pausing, slight bend in the front knee. Or you might lower your right hand to a block as well and pause and stay there and breathe. Third option is to see if you can empty the belly a little bit more, hinge at your hips, and maybe reach your sternum forward towards your right shin. Nice work. All right. Go ahead and bend your front knee, pivot to the ball of your back foot. Start to walk your hands forward, your blocks forward to lift your back leg parallel to the floor. Great. Now, once your back leg, your left leg is parallel to the floor, I encourage you to come up to the highest setting of your blocks if you haven't already. And then lift your spine parallel to the floor. Bend your right knee as much as you need to, and then lift your right arm forward for a bird dog variation. So opposite arm, opposite leg. Nice work, guys. As you're ready, simply lower the right hand, simply lower the left leg, forward fold. Great. Okay. Let's try all that on the other side. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands to shins if they're not there, and pause. Take a big breath in here. Take a big breath out. And then inhale, come all the way back up. Awesome sauce. Lower your hands down as you exhale. And then we'll go ahead and try the other side. So this time your right foot will be back, your left foot will be forward. You'll take warrior one to the top of your space. And you're starting first by lowering your hands alongside your hips and finding that slight incline of your pelvis. It's really, or of your head. It's very strange, but the slight incline will allow you to notice just a stretch across the front of the thigh. And so once you feel like you found that, bring your left hand to the back of your back, and then you'll inhale, reach your right arm forward, bending through the front knee. And exhale, straightening the front leg, lowering the right arm. And you'll do that about 3 more times. So inhale, coming forward. So even though the torso is on a slight diagonal, your eyes are still slightly up. Not so that there's a crick in the neck, but just so that we know where we're going. You got one more. Okay. And then this next one, you'll go ahead and stay. So you'll inhale, right arm high, left knee bent. Press down into the knife edge of your back foot. And you might stay there with just one arm high, or you might release the left arm to meet its mate. You might interlace the hands and reach the fingers up to lift the ribs up from the waist as the pelvis descends down. See if you can continue to breathe. So breathing into collarbones and ribs and emptying from navel. Gently release if you're holding the hands. And then go ahead and lower your left hand, straighten your left leg. Keep reaching up through your right arm. And next exhale, hinge at your hips, reach forward through the right hand, lowering the right hand to the floor or the block in front of you. Great. Then you might just stay here. One hand on the floor, one hand on your hip, spine parallel to the floor. You might lower the left hand to the floor or block. You might stay there with your spine parallel to the floor. Or you might start to reach your sternum forward towards your front shin, slight bend in the front shin bone. And you'll just pause and you'll breathe. Okay, let's go ahead and add on. Bend your front knee, start to shift your weight forward, walk your blocks and hands forward and lift your right leg parallel to the floor. Flex through that back foot a lot, push down into the front big toe a lot, and then see if you can lengthen tailbone, pubic bone. And then walk the hands up or the blocks up so they're on the highest setting. And you might need to bend the left knee in order to float your left arm forward for that weird bird dog position. Keep reaching out through your back big toe and forward through your front pinky finger. Nice work. That side looks better for a lot of us. Gently lower the left hand down, lower the right foot down, forward fold. Great. All right, guys. From here, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold all the way in. And then inhale, let's come to stand root to rise. And exhale, hands to heart center. Okay, go ahead and step back, but before you do, lower your blocks to the first setting. And make sure there's enough space for your body to fit through that, and then take one giant step back. One giant step back. Maybe not that giant of a step, Erica, you might need to step forward just a little bit. Okay, and then step forward with your right foot, so it's between your blocks. Right foot steps forward between your blocks. Float your left leg up in front of you. There you go. Cross the left leg over your right thigh and touch the block on the outside edge of your right foot. Open both arms out to a T. Wrap your left arm underneath, your right arm on top, and give yourself a hug. You might stay there and just bend your right knee. Hug your outer shins together. You might bring the backs of your palms together. You might bring the fronts of your palms together. And then from here, you might release that left leg to the back of your right calf for eagle pose, Garudasana. And then gently, if you took the foot off the block, release the foot back to the block, unwind the arms and come back up to stand. Nice job. Unwind the legs and go ahead and step back, and we'll try that on the other side. I like that, Roberta. Okay, and then you're going to try it on the other side. So this time your left leg is going to step between your blocks. Your right leg floats up in front of you. Cross the right thigh over to touch the block on the left side of you. Bend your left knee as much as you need to and open the arms out. From there, give yourself a hug, right arm underneath, left arm on top. Maybe you double wrap the arms, maybe you don't, but you'll bend the left knee. Maybe the right foot will stay on the block, or maybe it'll tuck behind the back of your left calf. Wherever you are, continue to lift elbows in line with shoulders. Continue to notice if you're breathing. Nice job, guys. If the foot released from the block, gently return to the block. Gently unwind the arms and unwind the legs. Great. All right. Let's try a Surya Namaskar now. So stand at the top of your space, feet about hip distance apart. And we'll see how this goes. So inhale, circle sweep your arms up and overhead. Exhale, hinge at your hips, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, and step back, plank pose. Pause. You can slide a block between your inner upper thighs or not. It's totally up to you. But we're going to stay here for 3 breath cycles. And you're just going to push down into your hands. Yep, there you go, Jenny. Widen through your pinky fingers and lengthen back through your tail as you reach forward through your sternum. Laura, push into your left hand more and lower your right hip. There you go. There you go. Good. Take a big breath in here. On your next exhalation, shift your weight forward and come into that chaturanga hover you had. Take a breath in there. Next in-breath, come into cobra pose. Toes stay tucked under. Squeeze your block if you've got it. Next exhalation, go back to that chaturanga. Empty the belly. Squeeze your block. Yep. Inhale back to plank. And exhale, downward facing dog. Keep the block if you've got it. Notice that you can draw the inner thighs towards each other to send the block back behind you like a Pez, sending the dispenser sending the Pez away. Then you'll just pause and you'll breathe. Great. All right, go ahead and lower your knees. Remove the block. And sit for a moment on your shins. Or sit cross-legged, however you wish to sit. But tuck your thumbs to the pinky mound of your fingers. Wrap the other 4 fingers over your hands and open your arms out to the side. Now I want you to just turn your hands down to the floor like, I don't know, you're riding a motorcycle that's really wide or something. And so the hands are going down, and just notice what you feel on the tops of your arms and forearms and wrists, maybe nothing, maybe something. And then you'll go the other way, sending the heels of the hands out. Gradually, you'll start to allow these to become circles. So your thumbs will go one way to create a giant circle. And notice if you're breathing. And once you've done about 3 one way, you'll go the other way. And for me, that's a little bit wonkier than the first. So you just notice what's true for you. And then when you're done, little flamenco twirls of the hands or shakes of the hands. Okay. How are we doing before I move on to what I thought I wanted us to do? Are we okay? Okay. Let's do a warrior 2 and a triangle before I have you guys go to the wall. So let's go back to down dog. Inhale, lift your right leg up and back. And exhale, quietly step your right foot between your hands. Spin your back foot to the floor and come up for Virabhatu. Great. Now from here, just bring your hands to your hips. Straighten your front leg long. Start to draw your left hip forward just a lot. Just a lot. Left hip forward a lot. So it's like you're trying to square your hips to the top of your space. Oh, yay. Okay. Now hinge at your hips from here. Lower your right hand to the floor or the block on the inside or the outside edge of your right leg. Keep your hips squarish to the floor like this, but push down into the right hand and start to wrap your right shoulder under, your right hip back, and rotate your rib cage towards the left. So we're trying to find a twist in the upper spine. It sounds super weird, but the left hip keeps drawing towards the top of your space. You push down into the right hand, and then you rotate to the left. And then you might find that you can lift your left arm up and rotate just from the rib cage, finding that twist in the upper spine. You might find it's just best to leave it on your hip. Depends on you. Great. All right. Gently square your shoulders back to the floor. Bend your front knee. Step back, downward facing dog. Okay, and we'll try that on the other side. So inhale, lift your left leg up. Exhale, step the left foot between your hands. Spin your back foot to the floor and come up for warrior two. And just pause. Great, so all of us squeeze that outer left hip even more so the left knee tracks over the center of the foot, yep. And then push down through the right pinky toe even more, yep, okay. Now bring your hands to your hips, straighten your front leg. Draw your right hip to the front of your mat a lot. So it really feels like you're going more toward the pyramid pose than anything, yep. Then from there, hinge at the hips and lower that left hand to the floor or a block on the inside edge of your left leg. Keep your right hand on your right hip for a little bit. Push down into the left hand first to lift your spine parallel to the floor. Then wrap your left shoulders underneath and start to roll your rib cage towards the right. Right hip still draws forward, and then maybe you reach up through that top arm as you draw your left hip, your front hip back. Great. Very gently square your shoulders back to the floor. Bend your front knee and step back, downward facing dog pose. Awesome sauce. All right, go ahead and lower your knees to the mat. Take child's pose to rest for just a moment. Child's pose to rest for just a moment. Okay. Gently, you'll come up to sit. And then make your way to your wall space. Make your way to your wall space. So at your wall, you probably won't need anything other than your mat and you. And you want to make sure there's enough space for your whole torso up and down as well as widthwise. Great, and a lot of you have given me side angles, so this is good. The first thing that you're going to do is just go stand facing the wall. Put your hands alongside your hips on the wall. So put your hands on the wall, fingertips facing up, thumbs facing in, like you're doing a push-up at the wall, but hands are alongside your hips and you're pretty close to the wall. So Barbara, walk your feet in. Steve, bend your elbows like you're in a chaturanga position. There you go. Now from here, start to push into the wall and then isometrically spin your fingers out. Notice the shoulder blades come onto your back and then start to walk your feet back so that your hands stay as they are, but your feet are now back and you're creating an L shape against the wall. So head will slowly lower in line with your arms as you straighten your arms. Your feet will walk back. Okay, Roberta, walk your feet in just 2 inches. Okay, keep your feet about hip distance apart and then everybody bend your knees quite a bit. Fan your fanny apart so tailbone goes back like you're really trying to stick your tail feathers out. And then imagine that strap is still on your upper arms. Push out. Jenny, lift up through your armpits. Yep, and wrap your triceps to the floor. Push your hands into the wall as you send your pelvis back. Great. And then gently you'll come back up. That looks good, Barbara. And start to walk in. Laura, keep your head in between your arms as you do that. Ah, yeah. And start to come up. Okay. Let's do a quick demo do, and then you guys are going to do. I want you to pay attention to what is happening in my spine and what I would like you to happen in your spine before we try to do L-Dog. So we do some type of hand balance. So I decided we would do L-Dog because it's strengthening. So the first thing is my elbows are alongside my waist. And the idea of isometric action means I push in, but nothing actually happens. That's the action that I want to happen, but my hands don't actually rotate. It's just the effort that's happening in the muscles. So we start off here, and some of you will just do this, and you're going to push back, knees stay super bent, pushing into the wall, lifting up through the inner armpits. This is exactly like down dog. It's a little more intense in this orientation for some crazy reason, probably because gravity is working differently, but you'll do that. And some of you will just stay here. We want to make sure our head's not dropping too much. I don't know if you can see that, but we don't want the head to drop too much or the shoulders to drop too much. We want to try to create a line. So some of you will do that and stay there happy as a clam. Some of you will start to add a little bit more weight. So your blocks will come and they will be in line with your ankle bone. You'll put your blocks in alignment with your ankle bone. So you know how long your legs are. If I'm sitting against the wall, my legs are straight and I'm towards the wall. And then where my ankle bone goes, my wrist bones go, and they have to be shoulder distance apart. And then it's the same thing that we've been doing the whole class. It's imagining like I'm pushing out into a strap. I go into my little cow pose and I lift hip, hip, and push. Now I'm pushing out into my imaginary strap. I'm pushing down into the floor like I'm taking a cat pose. And we're just going to start here with our knees bent, knees bent, knees bent. Okay, so let's try, well, first, questions before we try that. Knees stay bent, knees stay bent, knees stay bent. Okay, let's give it a shot. So those who are going to do the L dog inverted, start by sitting on the floor, extend your legs long, and put the blocks near your ankle bones. Once you've got that, flip around onto your hands and knees. Place your hands where your ankle bones were. Barbara, that looks like that might be a little too close for you. There you go. And then from hands and knees, spread your hands so they're shoulder distance apart, spread wide through your fingers. Imagine that you still have that strap on, push out into the strap and gaze forward. From here, you'll start to tuck the toes under and lift the hips high and plant one foot on the wall, hip height, and then put the other foot on the wall, hip height. When both feet are on the floor, you can start to push into the wall to shift your shoulders over your wrists, your hips over your shoulders. Keep your knees pretty bent. Jenny, draw the belly in a lot. Push down into the floor a lot and lengthen your tailbone up a lot. Other direction. Great. And then some of you will start to straighten your legs. Ah, nice, Laura. Nice, Mike. Push down into your right hand even more, Mike. Ah, yep. Nice, Barbara. And then gently you'll come down, walking back down through the hands, lowering down, sitting on your shin bones. Just a moment. Nice, Roberta. Inner armpits away from you, back behind you towards, I guess, the gray wall away from the door. Nice, Roberta. And then you'll lower. And then we'll try it again. But before we do we have any questions? What did you notice in doing that other than maybe it was just hard? Okay. When you're ready, try it again. So Erica, draw your inner armpits back. Yep, wrap your triceps more towards your wall. Yeah, you weren't banana backing. You were just more rounded in your upper spine than you needed to be. Mike, push down into your right hand a little bit more. Robin, before you go up, spread wide through your hands. Your left hand, the fingers start to curl up and away. Nice, Steve. Nice, Barbara. Barbara, inner armpits back. Okay. Yeah, that was looking better, Erica. Cool. Let's go ahead and sit. Just pause. You can take child's pose and rest. And you're just going to take 3 breaths before we even decide if we're going to go on any further than this. 3 breaths. You can be in child's pose. You could just sit there with the back against the wall, whatever allows you to calm the nervous system. So we want to settle the nervous system before we go any further. And then gently, you'll start to walk yourself up to vertical. And then third little try. So first thing you can go back to is that L dog shape thing against the wall. The second thing you can do is that L dog shape thing against the wall. The third thing you could try is a handstand if we want to try that. So do I need to show this? Probably. Okay, so for that, let's see. We want to make sure that you're not too close to the wall. If you're too close to the wall, meaning my hands, I'm going to get rid of my mat. If my hands are too close to the wall, when I start to kick up, my butt is going to hit the wall and it'll make it, well, sorry, I didn't make that look right. But if you're too close to the wall, it makes it too hard to hover away from the wall. So you want to make sure you're at least about 3 to 5 inches apart. Otherwise, your bum will hit the wall and you won't be able to balance. So we're just going to plant our hands, starting at hands and knees, pushing out through the strap, imaginary strap, tucking toes, lifting hips, downward facing dog. Then walk 1 foot in, lift 1 leg up, push through the bottom leg, kick up, and you might need to take a few tries. And then when 1 foot hits the wall, the other foot can touch the wall, and you're going to push down and out into the imaginary strap, hug into your midline with your legs. And when you're ready to come out, you'll slowly come out. So let's give it a shot. You can take option 1, option 2, option 3, or say, Jessica, I'm laying on my back and I'm going to hang out with my legs up the wall. Nice, Roberta. Roberta, push into your right hand even more. Nice, Jenny. Nice, Mike. Nice, Erica. Erica, keep pushing down as you kick up. You tend to pull your hands up just a little bit when the leg goes up. Better. Yeah, you too, Laura. Keep pushing down even as you kick up. Yeah. Yep. Nice, Steve. Nice, Mike. Mike, push down more through your right arm. After you've done a 3 or 4 or however many you think you want to do, you're just going to rest with your legs up the wall. Nice, Laura. Keep pushing down, Laura. Yeah. Yeah, so Laura, even if it doesn't get a high up, keep pushing down through your arms so you can lift up. That looks good, Barbara. Robin. Cool. So Barbara, you almost have that. What you need to do is your armpits need to pull away from you. Because what's happening is, how do I describe that? You're doing a lot of rounding here. You need to pull this in so the thoracic spine can come up. Okay, and so the rest of us are just hanging out with our legs up the wall. Nice, Robin. Robin, keep pushing into your right hand as you kick up. That elbow tends to bend a little, and I think it drops you a little bit to your right side. Better. Okay, let's all lay down if we're not already. And you're just pausing in your breathing. Now in this orientation, you can definitely see if one side's different than the other side. You can even see it. Many of us, you can see that one leg looks a little longer than the other, maybe just a millimeter. Okay, let's go ahead and gently bend our knees, roll over to one of our sides, and come up to sit. Okay. We're going to take a seated twist. So go ahead and sit on your blanket if you have one or your block. just to unwind the spine a little bit. So we'll start by tucking the left shin under, the right shin over for Ardha Matsyendrasana. And just sit as tall as you can. And the first thing you'll do is maybe just hug that right shin into your chest, push down the right foot, big toe mound into the floor. And you might then wrap the left arm around the front of the right shin, right hand behind you. And then you'll just take about 3 to 5 breaths, emptying the belly on the right side, wrapping the left ribs into the inner right thigh, wrapping from the belly through the ribs, through the collarbones, through the head. So you're really doing this unwinding from the base of the spine up, allowing that to just gently twist you a little bit more to the right. And then, of course, notice if you're breathing. And gently, you'll unwind and switch sides. So now your left foot is over to the outside edge of your right shin. Your right shin is down. Both arms first hug into that left shin, pulling it as tall, as close to you. You might stay there, or your right shin or right elbow comes outside of your left shin, left hand behind you. And you'll just empty the belly on the left side to wrap the right low belly to the inner left thigh, the right ribs to the inner left thigh, the right armpit to the inner left knee, and rotating from the bottom up to find a gentle unwinding of the spine. Great. And then you'll gently unwind. Go ahead and draw both soles of the feet to touch for Baddha Konasana. And you'll just pull the ankles back, pull the heart forward, and you might stay vertical, or you might start to hinge at the hips, pushing your elbows into the thighs, into the shin bones, just finding a little bit of a breather here. Keeping back of neck as long as front of neck. And then gently you'll come out of that. Hug the outer knees together and lie down on your back. Make sure your block is somewhere easily accessible, or both blocks if you've got two, as well as your strap. You can also start covering up at this point if you're cold. And once you find yourselves covered up, and once you find yourselves on your back, so just pause. And again, notice what part of the body is touching the floor now. Is it the same as what it was before? Is it different? Great. And then just to balance our sacrums out, everyone bend your knees and plant your feet on the floor. Grab one of your blocks and slide it between your inner upper thighs. Make sure your feet are about hip distance apart. And you're going to squeeze into that block at about, 20 to 30% of your capacity, about 10 times. Squeeze and release. Squeeze and release. And me personally, I find it's helpful to have the block at least hit second setting. It's a little bit wider, but not too wide. Just gives me something to press against so the adductors can release. And then after you've completed your last set, you'll gently just release the block. Notice what you notice between the backs of the hips and the backs of the shoulders. And then our very last thing, draw your right knee into your chest, put the strap across the ball of your right foot, and send your right foot up towards the sky. Now you're just going to push up through the ball of your right foot, straighten your right leg as best as you can, and we're working towards just a 90-degree angle here. So the leg is perpendicular to your body. And some of you will stay right here with that left knee bent. Some of you will straighten your left leg long beneath you, flexing through the foot. And if the left leg is straight, you're pushing down through the left thigh as much as you're kicking away with the right thigh. And you're just pausing and you're breathing. Very gently bend the left knee, plant the foot on the floor, bend the right knee, remove the strap, and then just pause and notice what you notice between the right and the left side. When you're ready, you'll try the other side. So draw the left knee into the chest, draw the strap across the ball of the foot and send the foot up. Flex through the left foot, straighten the left leg as best as you can, drawing it perpendicular to your body, so 90-degree angle. You might stay right there, or you might extend the right leg long beneath you. The right leg is long beneath you. You flex through the right foot and push the right calf, the right thigh down to the floor as much as you draw the left thigh away from you. And you're just pausing and you're breathing. Steady little thigh root to help with any stuff happening in the low back. You've got about 3 more breath cycles here. At the end of your third exhalation, if the right leg is straight, you'll gently bend the right knee and plant the foot on the floor. Then you'll gently bend the left knee, release the strap, and put the foot on the floor. From here, just check in and notice what you notice. You might extend the legs long and see how the body is now as compared to when you started your practice. And then when you feel complete, make your way to your final resting pose. So you might take Supta Baddha Konasana, you might stay in Shavasana, you might do something else entirely, but I do encourage you to take the time to set yourselves up to rest. Great. And as you find yourself into your shape, those of you that are still doing last minute things, you by all means, you do you. Those of us that are settled in our final shape, you'll take these first few breath cycles here to really allow the body to settle. So notice if you need to wiggle a little right to left to let the body settle. And then notice if you can allow the bones to just rest into the floor. And sometimes it helps to start by just taking a scan, starting at the crown of your head and noticing the back of the skull drop down, the jaw release, the shoulder blades, the ribs, the upper arms, the forearms, the knuckles of the hands just rest into the floor. And then notice what it feels like to allow the pelvis, the legs, the ankles just drop into the floor. And then you can observe what it feels like to soften any muscular energy that's going and may not be necessary here. Once you've released any unnecessary tension, maybe around the eyes, the throat, the abdomen, allow your awareness to rest in the abdomen. And you'll just watch as the breath enters and exits the body. As best as you can, just remain a passive observer of your body being breathed in and your body being breathed out. Whenever you happen to notice that the mind wanders, no worries. You just draw it back, resting it on the navel center, watching the body breathe in and watching the body breathe out. And I'll let you know when it's time to come out. Gently release the technique and return your awareness. Simply notice what you notice at this moment in time. As you're checking in, you might find that you would like to rest here for a few more moments, for a few more breaths. And if so, by all means, please do that. When you are ready to move, allow the movement to start small and gradually as you reawaken to your physical form. Gently start to make your way to your right side. And just pause. Start to draw yourself to a tall seat. And we're just going to end with 3 rounds of Nadi Shodhana just to balance out the right and the left since we spent so much time doing that. So your right hand will come to your face. Your right thumb will rest on your right nostril. Your right ring finger will rest on your left. Gently exhale all the breath from your mouth. When you need to, you'll close your left and or close your right and inhale through your left. Top of your inhalation, close your left. Exhale out through your right. Draw the breath in through your right. Top of your inhalation, you'll close your right and exhale out through your left. That counts as 1 round. You'll do 2 more on your own. Just taking the horseshoe shape to the breath. After your third exhalation out through the left nostril, you'll simply lower your right hand. And then you'll just notice what you notice. Okay, we'll go ahead and close our practice. Draw your hands to heart center. Press your palms into each other. Receive the weight of your thumbs into your sternum and lift your sternum towards your thumbs. Gently bow your chin to your chest. And we end the practice by saying internally or externally, the light within me honors and salutes the light within each of you. Namaste.